Oh. So explain what big stick diplomacy was. Give an example of Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy during his presidency. Can I see how many volleyball tournaments over the weekend? No? When's the next game? Is it at home? Oh, you care. Good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, where we going? Oh,
This, that, and everything.
geez. Driving tractors around, huh?
I was.
Yeah? Where at?
We, like, our local practice company did a long drive, it was like a 2-hour drive. We did around town.
Holy cow. That's awesome.
It was fun.
That's awesome. So it was like a tractor parade then?
Almost.
Yeah?
We all met at the fairgrounds during grass. It was a nice long drive.
Cool. Cool. Gabe, how was your weekend?
Good.
What did you do?
Work.
Oh, okay. Not so fun, huh? What about you, Karen? Decent weekend? Not bad? Oh, that Penn State game. Wow. Yeah. I want a soda. I bet on Iowa. Yep, Heffler owes me a soda. Are you sad, Miss O'Neill?
That they lost.
No. You lost your head coach. Oh, man.
Well, I thought they fired him just because they lost the last game.
They fired him.
Gruden.
Oh, no, he resigned.
Oh.
Well, he was gonna get called. Yeah, I was thinking of it yesterday when the news broke.
I know.
They all were up Miss O'Neill's thing.
Chucky, no.
Yeah. Well, he's not gonna be on the NFL Network anymore now. Well, you, Chloe, how's your weekend?
Are you writing your?
Are you working?
What?
Are you working at McDonald's this weekend? Yeah. What time, yeah,
You get in the morning.
8 morning. Is that when it like, officially opens?
Open at 5
I was gonna say, that's pretty early, even on Sundays.
every day. The only day we're closed on Christmas.
Yeah.
Caleb works
Does he?
there. He opens more than a couple times a week. They ask him.
I feel like he works there like everywhere.
He works every-
Yeah. Walmart. Does he still work at Walmart?
Caleb,
Yeah.
he never worked
Didn't he?
there. He works for Gap.
I could have sworn I saw him at Dunkin' one time.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
You want to see what I
He was at
He
Dunkin'.
wasn't.
do?
He never worked at Walmart.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, big stick diplomacy. What was it? What was it? Eddie? What was it?
When you intimidate other countries like that.
Okay, all right, good job. So this is foreign policy created by Teddy Roosevelt. And he thought, well, we're not going to start conflicts with, whoa, I think I broke the chair. Oh, no. I guess so. Oh, and you get super glue or something for that. Oh, man. Jeez. Gotta stop working out, you know.
No, you're gonna fall right.
I know, now I'm gonna go right through it. So, hey, man, there we go. It's like I'm driving a plane or something.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
All right, anyway, big stick diplomacy. It is this idea that Teddy Roosevelt brought up, like, oh, well, we're going to not reach out to other countries. We're not going to start issues with other countries, but we have our military power capable of, enforcing our will on really the rest of the world, okay, to try to prevent any type of foreign expansion in the Western Hemisphere from these European countries. And at the same time, making sure that these Central American countries and South American countries adhere to the United States, okay? So that if there's anything that could occur where that could threaten US interest in the Western Hemisphere, we could back it up with our military. All right, so give it examples. We talked about certain examples through class yesterday, or sorry, not yesterday, on Friday and Thursday of Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy. Cassie? Yeah, the Great White Fleet, good job. What was that? Okay. Yeah, so the Great White Fleet traveling around the world, right? You remember that? Okay, so 16 ships. They painted the ships what? White, yeah. So they really stick out. And he traveled all the way through Europe, okay? So all these European countries could see the United States Navy. And he traveled through the Suez Canal, right into the Indian Ocean, moving out into the Asian out in the Asian, Southeast Asia, the Pacific Ocean, and coming back all the way around to the Atlantic. And why did he do this? Did it cost a lot of money? Yeah, it's like traveling tractors all through town, right? I'm just kidding, Cal. I related the Great White Fleet to the tractors. Travel all across. Yeah, there we go. So why do you do it? Why do you do it, Cassie? Yeah, good job. Good job. So to show the rest of the world what type of military power we have and our Navy, right? At that time, okay, yeah, you had media, you had news, you had magazines, but for the most part, not everybody knew what type of military power the United States had. And moving into the 1900s, we were rising as that industrial power, okay, that we talked about in chapter 1. And so was our military. And where did our military, our Navy rank in the world by 1900? Remember? Where did it rank, Kale? It was up there, right? It was the third strongest, right behind Great Britain, right behind Germany. Good, good. Yeah, it's a good example. Great White Fleet. Good. What's another example of Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy? Eddie? There you go, the Panama Canal. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about the Panama Canal, who started creating it, and we kind of took their plans and really made sure that we finished the job there and created this travel route through the Western Hemisphere. But yeah, the Panama Canal is a great example. And why was that so essential for the United States to create? Why was it so significant that the United States build this canal? What do you think, Eddie? What could this allow the United States to do? Having this travel route right through the Western Hemisphere. Okay, yeah, all right. So eliminate the time expense of trade through the Western Hemisphere. So if these European countries wanted to travel through the Western Hemisphere to the Asian markets, they'd have to go all the way around South America, right? Now they could just cut right through, no problem. But if they want to utilize that canal, what do they have to do? Pay up, right, Eddie? Yeah, exactly. So the United States now controls trade. Whatever happens through the Western Hemisphere, whoever wants to try to travel through this half of the world, they have to go through the United States. Again, showing that Roosevelt corollary, right? Showing that big stick diplomacy. Okay, good. And what else could the Panama Canal offer? Not only just trade, but what else? Go ahead, Cassidy. Awesome. Good job. Good job. So if there's ever a conflict, okay, especially during that Spanish-American War, that made it clear. So if we ever had to travel our Atlantic fleet over to the Pacific, right, before we'd have to travel all the way around South America. Now, if there is ever an attack on the western portion of the United States, the West Coast, we could just travel right through the Panama Canal to the West Coast and vice versa, right? If there's ever an attack on the Atlantic side, we could travel our Pacific fleet through the Panama Canal and support it a lot quicker, a lot faster, more efficient. All right, good, good, good. So today we're going to talk about why this was an idea of actually the French in the mid 1800s to create this canal. and why it was essential for the French to do so. But it didn't work out in their favor. They decided, well, we're spending a lot of money, a lot of people are dying in this tropical environment, and they moved out. So this gave the opportunity to the United States to take over these plans really, and make it more advanced so that we could utilize the Panama Canal for our very own. All right, is there any questions on big stick diplomacy? You guys understand? Speak softly, carry a big stick, famous quote by Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, terms for today. I can't believe my chair broke. This is unbelievable. It was pretty funny, wasn't it? All right, these are the last of the terms. Last of the terms. We got dollar diplomacy and moral diplomacy. So we talked about big stick diplomacy. We talked about gunboat diplomacy, using our military to threaten other countries. Now we're getting into maybe more, maybe not as threatening form of diplomacy. Darn it. Well, we get super glue and some clamps, I guess. Bless you. Salute. Kale, you heading down to the BT room at all today?
The BT room?
Yeah. No. What about
Just tell
Mr.
me you're gonna
Kravitz?
be in the shop for 3 periods.
Yeah, I'm in the shop for 3 periods.
Yeah, do you think you can help a brother out here? All right, cool. Maybe some super glue. I might have some. And some clamps. I think that should be an easy fix, huh? Unless you want to weld it back together. Fold it back together.
Never miss your headdress and never miss-
Yeah, really. Then I can put all my weight on it, huh? Really put that much weight? I don't get it. Okay, I'll let you take that away then at some point. I could maybe screw the top off. That would be a lot easier. And I have the chair. Looks like an Allen wrench. You have Allen wrenches down there? I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Maybe bring that up, take this piece off, and then you can glue it back together. Give you a good news postcard.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe an ice cream. How about it? Yeah, I'll get you an ice cream. That'll work. Dollar diplomacy. What do we have? Well, first off, let's review Roosevelt corollary. What was that? I know we talked about that on Friday. I just want to make sure we're clear here for this term. What do we have for Roosevelt corollary? Tanner, you have this one?
I don't,
You don't have that one. What are you doing on Friday? Snoozing?
probably,
Probably, he says. Okay. Kara, do you have Roosevelt corollary?
I said that it stated that the United States was
There you go. It was like that political cartoon I showed on Friday with Teddy Roosevelt dressed up as a police officer, winging around the big stick. So it was just piggybacking off of that Monroe Doctrine. And any European country wants to try to, let's say, trade with a Central American country or a South American country, it had to go through the United States first. So the US was almost like this line of defense before actually interacting, these European countries interacting with Central America or South America. Does that make sense, guys? So again, just piggybacking off the Monroe Doctrine. And now that we control the Western Hemisphere, we're going to be like this police force, making sure that these European countries don't ever have influence in our part of the world again. Okay? Make sense? Dollar diplomacy. What do we got? Nathaniel, you have this one? Yeah, good job. Good job. So this form of diplomacy will really take hold right after World War II. Okay. But we see this already in the early 1900s. No longer do we have to take our militaries in and threaten other countries or territories. We can just supply investments, okay? Supply business, entrepreneurship in these countries that never would experience industrialization before, or never would experience this modernization before, okay? So we're instilling these new investments, these new business ideas and modern forms of technology into these other territories that we can establish trading partners with. Okay. So our influence is spreading to these parts of the world, but no longer do we have to send our military there to threaten them. Okay. We're just investing with that country, establishing trading partners with that said country or territory. All right. What about moral diplomacy? What do you have here? Gabe, you have diplomacy here? Last one. Last term of chapter 2.
The sum in which support is given only to countries whose beliefs are and all of this.
Okay, all right. So democracy, right? So with the United States, we're only going to cooperate with countries that are not authoritarian, that do not have, let's say, an absolute leadership, okay, and that is interested with the United States. All right, so we're going to make sure that we only have foreign relations, trade with these countries or territories that are adhering to the United States demands of government and treating their people and standard of living. Okay. If they're authoritative, if they have, let's say, a dictatorship, then yeah, we're not going to reason with them. Or if there's terrorist organizations that kind of have a control of that said country or territory, we're not going to reason with them. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So like I said, that's the last of the term. So what do you expect maybe soon? A test. Yeah. So we're going to talk about some progressive presence here soon. So probably tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, we're probably going to have a review, or if you guys can work on a study guide. When we return next week, we'll have the exam. Oh, yeah, maybe a Monday test. Oh no. Halloween's coming, right? That's going to be the spooky thing for next Monday. All right, so Panama Canal. I know I talked about this briefly, but what happened here? What happened? So who controlled this area where we want to build this canal? Who was it? What country? Go ahead, Griffin. Colombia. Yeah, good job. And did they allow the United States to control or maybe build a canal in that area right here at the bottom of Central America, moving into South America? Griffin? No. So what did the United States have to do? They funded a revolution. Good job. Good job. So Teddy Roosevelt brought down the military, the Navy, to try to threaten Colombia into building this canal. They still said no. And we didn't want to show ourselves as this immoral country. Okay, we didn't want to show us as an aggressive country. So we aided a revolution. Okay, these Panamanian rebels to rebel against the Colombia government with the help and use of military equipment, weapons of the United States. So we all know how that probably went down. Yes, the Panamanian rebels took control of this area, no problem. And they got their own country, right? So Panama was created from this scenario, from this example, this experience here. So with that being said, Panama allowed the United States to create this canal, and we controlled trade finally through the Western Hemisphere. And with that being said, it took the United States around $10 million, $40 million to $10 to $40 million to build this canal. And it was one of the biggest excavating projects ever in mankind. And before that, though, the French wanted to try to build this canal because of the gold rush out into the West, right? So in the mid 1800s, early 1800s, we know the gold rush picking up in California, moving out into these Western territories at that time. And it took really about 6 months, 5 months, 6 months to travel wagons across the land of the United States because of Rocky Mountains, you name it. So they thought, well, the easier route is going to be traveling by boat with all this gold to the eastern coast back to Europe. Okay. So the only way they could do that was travel all the way around South America. So they had many engineers try to develop a canal right through Panama to travel the gold a lot quicker. But once that failed because of poor engineering designs and poor tactics to create the canal, France just let it lay. Okay, even a lot of their equipment just let it lay. And that had to do because of the tropical environment in Panama. Once they started trying to create this canal and drilling and moving land, the area flooded pretty quick because it was below sea level. So 1900s comes around, Teddy Roosevelt sees this as a great adventure, a great idea to try to inspire big stick diplomacy even more in the Western Hemisphere and try to create this Panama Canal for the use of the United States to control trade and also to equip our West Coast and our East Coast with our Navy in quick amount of time efficient. And he did so by literally flooding the land that is right around where the Panama Canal is created. So he built many different dams to try to literally flood the area, okay? And with that being said, they had different markers because they had to really try to sail these ships across this land area. And with that being said, they had different chambers that were located across the Panama Canal. And as the boats would go into one chamber, they would flood that chamber so that the water level would rise, okay? And they would continue it on until they eventually connected the Pacific to the Atlantic. Like I mentioned, it was a crazy, crazy feat. And it was really one of these biggest accomplishments of the United States and Teddy Roosevelt's presidency, connecting the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean. And I'll have a video here to explain that a little bit more in detail. But anyway, like I mentioned, we got that land, that area, because we pushed out the Colombian rule by aiding the Panamanian rebels. And we really took what was left over by France and just advanced a little bit more and flooded literally the whole area of the Panama region. They called it Isthmus and created this canal. And with that being said, the United States, they pay Panama around $250,000 a yearly rent, which is really nothing, especially with all the money that we're making from this travel route connecting the Pacific to the Atlantic. And today, I think around the 1970s, we gave it to Panama to control. It's like we didn't really even need to control that canal any longer. Do we still have ships travel through there? Yeah, of course. But I don't believe we control that anymore. And here's some political cartoons of Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy. The bottom right is his Roosevelt corollary and shows these European countries, if they ever want to try to cooperate or trade or have foreign relations with these Central American countries or South American countries, they had to go through the United States first. All right, is there any questions on big stick diplomacy? You see how the Panama Canal was really this huge advancement for the US moving forward, and with modernization, with diplomacy, big stick diplomacy. And there's many thousands of people that died trying to create this Panama Canal with sickness, disease. We talked about with the Spanish-American War, how hard it was to preserve food, especially in these tropical environments. And malaria was huge, okay? Mosquitoes, insects, different types of like snakes, you name it, venomous snakes that killed many, many people trying to build this canal. And with the constant flooding, literally they'd move earth and the next day, a lot of the vegetation would be grown back because of how humid, how tropical the environment really was. And it was just like in this never ending process of trying to move a lot of this earth out of the way, a lot of this, I guess you could say debris, and mudslides occurring really every other hour for the most part when they're moving and trying to create this canal. All right, so I'm going to show a video of the Panama Canal, explain that a little bit more in detail and the creation of it. And I have an assignment here for you. Just a couple questions on the Panama Canal. You guys can work on that right after the video. Oh, right at the end, just slipped in some assignment.